guys, it's Dana from madeeveryday.com, and today I have a quick, easy, fun, cute, little, tiny project. We're gonna make a baby bib. There are many different ways to sew a baby bib, but today I'm gonna show you my favorite method, which is one layer of a cute, fun fabric on front, a layer of terry cloth, and then my favorite bias tape trim around the edges. And we're using a pattern piece that is free. It's on my website. Go to madeeveryday.com, look for the baby bib, and there's two different sizes. We are gonna be sewing the smaller one without the seam allowance, which I have already traced here to cardstock. Okay, here's what you need. A small amount of fabric, terry cloth, double fold bias tape, and a little bit of Velcro. First, I'm going to cut out the fabric layer, and I am using this really fun animal cookie print that is from my new fabric collection called Butterscotch with Figo Fabrics. And you can see some of the other prints here. There's these retro mid-century chairs. The animal cookies come in this orangey color too. Pyrex bowls, florals. It's just a fun retro throwback collection. So let's set those aside. Here is our fabric, and we only need one layer of this. You could use fabric on both sides, but we are gonna just do it on the front side. So place this on top, and I'm just gonna cut right around that. Just gonna hold my hand on top, cut around. You can trace it if you would rather do that, or use a rotary cutter. I'm gonna grab one of my favorite paperweights here, my tape dispenser. Okay, now grab your terry cloth, and we're not going to cut this layer the exact same size because we're gonna add a little fun element to it. We're gonna quilt the two pieces together. So I'm going to cut this in the general size of that. I'm gonna pin it together first in a few different spots, just to hold its general shape. Oh my goodness, this fabric just screams little kid. I love it. And it's a good busy print, so when you get a little food spilled on it, it's not gonna leave any crazy marks. Or it might. You know how kids are. Okay, let's just trim right around this. And like I said, I'm cutting just a little bit bigger. We're gonna trim this down when we're done sewing those quilting lines. Okay. Set this aside, and now we're gonna go to our machine and we're gonna quilt some lines that hold the layers together. And you can do any kind of design that you want, and you don't even have to do this step. I just think it looks cute and fun. So maybe about 3/4 inch lines, 1/2 inch lines. So let's go to our sewing machine. I'm just threading my machine here with some magenta color thread that's gonna match with my fabric. So just follow along the lines here, and you could use a different thread color if you want those quilting lines to show up. You might use a contrasting color thread. Okay, then the special thing I love about my Baby Lock is the automatic needle threader. Just hit that and it's done. It does make life easy. Okay, come over here. We're gonna start at the bottom and just sew our first line. And then from there, I'm gonna use the edge of my presser foot to make parallel lines as I go down. I'm gonna also scoot my needle over so that I can just use the full width of the area. Or I can eyeball it and just say, okay, that looks good, that looks good. So I'm gonna move my needle over right here. Okay, forward and back stitch. So one line. Cut my threads. I love this automatic thread cutter. Now I'm gonna flip this around, and I'm using the edge of my presser foot right here, and I'm gonna sew another line down this direction. Now turn it and go back the other way. And I'm going to move my needle back to the left. Just keep doing this over and over until you've quilted the whole piece. If you don't want to keep shifting your needle, you can just eyeball it and sew parallel lines all the way down. Okay, we're in our last quilting line here. Cut my threads, and now let's trim it and pin our bias tape around it. I really love how these quilted lines look on here. It makes it a little more durable, and I just think it looks really cute. So trim off all this excess terry cloth that's here. And as you're doing that, cut off all those extra thread tails that are on there. All right, it's already starting to look like a bib. Okay, we're gonna grab our bias tape. Now, you can buy bias tape pre-made in these packages at the store, or you can make your own, which I really love to do. It's kind of fun and therapeutic for me. And I have a full video that outlines all the details for this. You can check that out here on my channel. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you the proper way to attach this. So turn it over to the wrong side, take your bias tape, and we're gonna start with the slightly less wide side. And if that doesn't make sense, I'll explain that more in my video. We're gonna start in the middle bottom here, leave a little bit of a tail, and we're gonna pin this right to the edge there. And we're gonna go all the way around. And then when we sew, we are going to sew right in that little crease right there, the little memory crease. Just go all the way around this curve, going into the neck area and back around the other side. The other way you could attach this is just by sandwiching it around the edges, which I do quite often. You've seen in my other videos. But this will really give it a nice polished finish and make sure that it attaches great on both sides. What is great about this method is because there's so many curves, this really helps you get around all those curves and ensures that it's going to be sewn through on both sides. We're almost all the way around now. And I am barely gonna make it. I just had a little bit of this bias tape left, but I think it's gonna be just enough. Ah, there we go, it is, oh my goodness. That's a close call. I would recommend maybe leaving your tails a little bit longer to give you some wiggle room. Okay, we are gonna go to our machine. We're gonna sew these two tails together. What you wanna do is match them up like that and then sew a straight line across there. We're gonna sew all the way around in this crease right here, and then we're gonna flip it around to the other side. So let's go to our machine. Go slowly as you go around these curves here. Try to make sure that things aren't folded underneath. And I am using a pinkish purple thread in my bobbin, the magenta color, so that if any of the thread shows on the bottom, it will match the fabric. Go really slow here to some tiny curves. You want to make sure nothing is getting stuck underneath. Lift your presser foot if you need to. Okay, I'm all done here. Cut my thread. Now let's turn this out and then we're gonna sew the other side. Let's trim this terry cloth down just a little bit. Because it's so thick, it can be a little bit bulky inside of our bias tape. So, especially around these curves here, this will help as we fold it over to the other side. All right, there we go. Now flip it over and let's fold this back around. See how it looks. And okay, so what is going to happen when we go back to our sewing machine is that this is going to come right over like that. You can pin the whole thing or you don't have to. You can just pull it over as you go. I'll pin around a few places. Sew that in place and we're going to attach our Velcro and then we're done. Just do your best around these curves here. Maybe I'm not going to pin this whole thing. Maybe we'll just go for it. Okay, let's look at our Velcro here. With Velcro, you have two different pieces. And what I think is kind of nice is to cut this in a bit of an oval shape that will fit nicely in the way that this bib is shaped. So just like that. There we go. I've already cut two pieces here. And then what we're going to do is attach one on the right side and the other one goes on the wrong side so that when they come together, it's like that. So once we sew all of this around, then we are going to take this Velcro, place it in the one spot here and sew that in place. Take the other piece here and sew that in place. Okay, so let's go back to our machine. If you have any areas where the bias tape seemed to kind of fold over itself, that's totally fine. Just create a little pleat there and we will sew those areas together as we sew it on our machine. I have used a bright orange thread here and I'm going to place some white thread in the bobbin. In case any of my thread shows through there, it will blend in with my terry cloth. Okay, we're ready to sew. I'm sewing close to the edge here without going off. Okay, go slow around this area again. It can be a little tricky. And you can see I have a few little folds here. I'm just going to try to tuck those in. Which this just sometimes happens when you're sewing in such tiny little curves like that. Okay, let's go back and make sure we didn't miss any spots. I think I missed one right here. Let's re-sew that part. And are there any others? Oh, one more right here. The nice thing about thread that blends in is that you can't see when I sew a second time. Now grab your Velcro pieces. We're going to sew the first one to the right side of the fabric here. I have white thread in my machine and white thread in my bobbin so that it doesn't show on either side. You're going in a little circle here, so just, again, go slow. Keep lifting your presser foot and making those little turns. Okay, now for the other side, I want to use, we're gonna sew it onto this side. So it's gonna be pink on the bottom. So change your bobbin back to the pink thread, magenta, pinkish purple. I think I've called it 5 different names. Okay. And let's see which direction we want this to go. So we want it to go like this. Okay, perfect. Let's sew that in place and then we're done. Okay, let's trim off these little threads. Oh, right there. And let's see how it all looks. And let's put it together with a few other items. And there is your cute baby bib. Oh my goodness, that's adorable. And what I love about this pattern is how it shapes like that. It goes great around a baby's body. Nice job. Now what I recommend is putting it together with a few other items, which are all videos you can find on my site. Cute little baby hats with pom-poms? Absolutely. A burp cloth out of kitty cat fabric? Yes. Maybe even a baby blanket. For sure. Put it all together, like so. Grab some little ribbon. I love using pieces of knit fabric to tie things together. And if you remember my bow tying video, tie it in a little bow. Oof, my bow got a little off there. And you're ready to go. For more ideas and tutorials, you can check out my website, madeeveryday.com. And for all of your sewing machine needs, head to babylock.com where it's all for the love of sewing. Have a great time sewing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.